Hi, I'm Tricia from Club Scrap and welcome to the kit number 301 card kit workshop. This is a really special workshop for me because kit number 301 represents the 301st collection that we've released over the last 25 years. So 25 times 12 is 300, and beginning our 26th year now of monthly kits, that gives us kit number 301. And I'm so grateful to all of you for making this journey possible with Club Scrap. I absolutely love what I get to do for my job. And to get started, I'm going to make sure that my accordion pocket file is positioned underneath my trimmer base here, and we'll be filing all the pieces for the different sets of cards into these pockets. Now, if you don't have the accordion pocket file, simply maintain 3 piles. Don't let that stop you from doing the workshop. Got this nice guillotine trimmer here, and let's begin by sorting the paper into the order we'll be using it. Let's start out by finding one sheet of the black plain from your kit, and then one sheet of charcoal. Now the charcoal has a texture on it, so I'm just going to take the one sheet and put it with the texture side down. Next up, grab a sheet of the silver. That's scrumptious. And then you have the white pearl right here. And this definitely has the correct side and then the wrong side. So I'm going to place it wrong side up. And next up, I'll find the other sheet of black. Then a piece of that charcoal again, texture side down. One silver again. And one white pearl with that texture side down. Next, we'll take those 2 prints, probably from the top of your pile, put those face down. We'll take the cut apart that's mainly white and end with our last cut apart, which is a blend of the light and dark. And take that entire pile now and flip it back over to where we began with the black on top. And let's just tackle all that trimming. Okay, so we can trim. If you feel comfortable with this, go right ahead and do 2 sheets at the same time. If you feel less comfortable, maybe just do 1 sheet at a time and then just rewind and repeat. Before we cut, we need to determine our grain direction, so a quick review on that. Just hold the paper by the center of an edge and see how much it weeble wobbles. See how wiggly it is, how droopy it is, and then rotate the hand to a neighboring edge. Now this is much more stiff and flexible. If I push on it, it resists me, versus this way, it pushes in really easily. So once you identify that, make sure that it dips easily from left to right and then drop it in your trimmer base. I'm gonna also pick up a sheet of this charcoal and perform the same test. Here it's real stiff, here it's real wiggly. So I'm gonna drop it in so it wiggles easily from left to right. And now I can stack them neatly. And just fair warning, because of the card structures, we are going to be doing quite a bit of trimming. So if you need to just take a break or work at your own pace, of course you want to do that. Bear with me because the effort at the end, I promise, is worth it. Let's begin at 11 3/4, making sure the blade is all the way up, that the paper is flush at the top edge here of this ridge. And then we're looking at the inches, not centimeters. So inches over here, and cut at 11 3/4. And then move down to 10 1/4. That's 10 plus 1 column to the left, gives me 10 1/4. And before, I forgot to mention this, make sure you're pushing down on this clear bar to stabilize it. All right, now take this entire piece and rotate it so it's horizontal. And we'll cut at 9 and 4 1/2. Now this piece gets rotated again, and we'll cut at 6 1/2. Now both of these pieces need to be scored, so I'm going to set them aside before I file them anywhere and pick up the next pair of pieces and once again cut at 6 1/2. So this is going to be a card base for us, and then I'll take this piece as well. So that needs to be scored, and now I have this last strip here. I'm going to cut this at, make sure it's nice and neat here. I'm going to cut at 10. That takes off a little tiny piece. 8 1/2. Pretty small piece again. And 4 1/4. Okay, so you just made some little panels here. You can gather both of those up and place them in pocket A. So right here, boop. And we have this other little narrow strip. We're going to make a ton of these in this size. Put that in pocket B. Pocket B is going to be loaded. And then you have a few little scrappies that fell off the end. And now I have this longer strip here. We are going to trim this. It's 1.5 by 12 right now. We'll cut at 9, 6, and 3. And like I said, we're going to make a lot of these, really a lot. Have I mentioned a lot? Pocket B on those as well. And you have this other long strip as a scrap, or it could be used potentially, maybe in card set C, for example. But I'm going to pop it into D. That's usually where I put stuff that doesn't have a specific assignment. We'd never have to visit that diagram again. Let's move on to something a little different here with the silver. So I'm just going to check my grain. It's a little hard to tell, but I think it's going this way, okay? Easiest to dip this way. And then the white pearl, same thing. It's very stiff. This wants to dip, and I want it dipping easily from left to right. And make sure the pieces are neatly together. Find 11.5, stabilize firmly. And then we'll cut at 8.5. So 8 plus 2 columns to the left is 8.5. Stabilize again, especially because of the thickness of this paper. Rotate that 8.5. We'll cut at 11. And 5.5. 5.5. All right. You got 4 card bases here that need to be scored. I'll set them aside. This little piece that fell from the end, I'll put it in pocket D because I didn't have a home for it. And then we have this strip right here. We're going to cut a whole bunch more of those little pieces that will join their friends in pocket B. We're going to cut every 1.5 inches. So I'm going to place this here, and we'll start at 10.5, 9, 7.5, 6, 4.5, 3, our last cut, 1.5. All right, so we have a whole pile now of these cute little flags for pocket B. So many there. And once again, a strip I can add to the D pocket, and I can decide if I want to use it later on. Now we have another sheet of black, and let's just find our grain direction here. It's flopping. This is how I definitely wants to go this way. Now, when you put this in the trimmer, I want it dipping easily from the top to the bottom. So before we did it this way, but now we're going to do it this way because eventually the paper will be folded in that direction. And then I'll grab this sheet of charcoal, and I want the same thing, dipping top to bottom. And if you question that, there's a little arrow right on your instructions, the run step 3, that the arrow is pointing that way, and that's how I want the paper to dip in that direction. We're going to take a little piece off the end here by trimming at 11 3/4. This is both sheets. And then all the way down to 7. Rotate the 7-inch piece, trim at 11.5 and 10. This is going to be a card base for us. Set it aside to be scored. And then you have this strip that fell from the end. We're going to trim that horizontally at 6, and we're going to make some more of those little flags. So 6 and 3. My goodness. Let's take these 2 pieces and place them in pocket, you guessed it, B, with its buddies. And then you have this that fell off the end. That's a scrap for sure. Same with this little guy. Maybe you can save it if you want. I'll put it in D, but I think, you know, we could just pop it in C if we want to. I think it's going to be good for C because it's 7 inches long, and so is the card. We have a couple of twists and turns to make. I wrote the instructions as efficiently as I could, okay? So just do it step by step with me. We will cut this at 5 1/4, and then don't move the piece. 5 1/4. Now rotate so the piece is vertical, and trim at 3 1/4. This goes in pocket C, Charlie. And do you see this little strip that fell from the end? We're going to cut it at 3. And this is gonna join its buddies in pocket B. I told you there's gonna be a lot going in there. This is a little scrap, and this larger panel goes in C as well. We get to do all of that one more time. So once again with this, the silver might be a little more challenging to identify the grain, but you know, really just push in. Like this gives me a lot of resistance. This gives me less resistance. Same with this beautiful pearl again, dipping from top to bottom. Stack neatly and trim at 11 3/4. 11 3/4. And 7. Notice I meticulously go over to this clear bar to support. Now rotate and trim at 11 1/2. And 10 to make the 2 more card bases. Card set C is a nice easy set. You're gonna love it. So set this aside to be scored, and then you have that strip, this one. We're gonna trim it at 6 3 to make some more buddies for pocket B. Some scraps that fell, I'll set those aside. This I'm gonna add it to C just because I think I'm gonna use it there, and the inside of my cards. And now we have to do this twist and turn thing here again with this one. So our first cut is at 5 1/4. And then rotate 3 1/4. And then place this in pocket C. The little strip, we're gonna get one more of those little flags, we'll call them. Trim it at 3. Pocket B. And we have some little scraps that fell from the end, plus this big panel for C. And these long strips, you can set them in D if you like. And then you got these 2 narrow little strips you can add to pocket D. Pick up our next sheet, which is a print. And again, there is a lot of trimming involved here to make little pieces. So bear with me while we do this, and I will just take you step by step and work at your pace. Pause as needed. And our first cut here is at 11 3/4. Then 10 1/2. And 5 1/4. Rotate this 5 1/4 so it's horizontal, and cut at 8 4. Nice and easy. Gather up the 3 pieces the same size and place them in pocket A as an alpha. Now we're going to trim some rectangles with this one. So place it in horizontally and cut at 11 1/2. And now I'm going to give you kind of a crazy measurement. It's 9 5/8. Okay, so 9, find 9 1/2, and then go halfway to 9 3/4. So again, 9 5/8 is halfway between 9 1/2 and 9 3/4. There it is. Ooh, there it is. Okay, now 7 3/4, that's easy. 7, 1, 2, 3 columns left. 7 3/4. One more. 5 7/8. So I'll find 5 3/4, go halfway to the 6, and then 4. Nice and easy. Okay, this piece goes in pocket A with its fronds that match. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 strips perfectly sized for card set A as well. So pocket A. This little guy fell off the end. We don't need him. And then you have this strip here. It's 1 1/4 inch wide. We're gonna make a bunch of squares out of this, all right? So our first cut though, isn't gonna be a square. So we cut this at 11 1/4. Now I have all these numbers listed in step 4 of the instructions, but basically all I do is look and I go 1 inch and then 1 1/4. So these need to be 1 1/4 inch squares. So my next cut is at 10, 8 3/4, 7 1/2, 6 1/4, 5, 3 3/4, 2 1/2, 1 1/4. Yay! We have a whole series of squares. So all of these pieces that are square, those are going to go in pocket. Guess what? B. B is kind of a big deal. And then we have this lovely printed strip. I'll place that in pocket D. Bunch of rectangles going to be out of this one and a few other panels. So just bear with me. We are so close. We'll trim this one. And it doesn't matter what direction you trim it. It's just kind of all the same either way. That weird cut again at 11 3/4 gets us started. Then 10 1/2. 7 3/4. And 5. Okay, rotate the 5-inch piece. You're gonna love this one. We just cut at 9, 6, and 3. You can gather up all those nice panels you made and pocket C, Charlie. We're gonna make a bunch of those rectangles out of the next 2 sheets. Now, if you feel comfortable, and I do feel pretty comfortable doing this, and I'm confident you can do this as well. Take the 2 pieces that are the same, and I put them the white side facing white side. And that way the papers don't slip as easily, and we can trim them at the same time into a bunch of 1 1/4-inch rectangles. So we're gonna follow the same basic measurements we did when we were doing the squares. So that first cut is at 11 1/4. That is not the right size, so you can just take those 2 little end cuts and get rid of them right away. Now we're gonna go down to 10. Eight 3/4. 7 1/2. 6 1/4. And 5. 3 3/4. 2 1/2. 1 1/4. Again, if you're frustrated by the speed, and maybe I'm going too fast for you, just go ahead into your settings on YouTube. On this channel, there's a little gear symbol in the lower right corner of the screen, I believe. Click on that, then choose playback speed, and you can back it down to like 0.75. I will sound like I'm very sleepy, okay? If I'm going too slow, you can speed me up as well. So here, I'm just gonna put everything to rights. I'm just gonna flip through them like I'm dealing a deck of cards, and every other one's facing the wrong way, okay? Boom. Guess where all these guys go? Yes, pocket B. Amazing. All right, you have one more strip here. We're gonna cut this one. Sorry. We'll cut this one at 11. And get rid of that scrap right away if you want. It won't be in the mix then. 8 1/4. 5 1/2. 2 3/4. Guess where these rectangles go? B. And you have a little scrap there for D if you want to put it in there. You have a small little pile. Now we're moving on to the Cutaparts. There's a little message to you on the outside edges of each side of the paper that says you need to remove the paper from the outside of the corner cutting guides. So I'll do my best to align this with the outside edge of that blade on my trimmer. And getting this right is kind of important because it's setting the trims for all the rest. Typically on this first cut, I can't really see where the edge of the blade is down at the bottom corner. So I go shy. So there's still a little bit of that mark left there. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm gonna rotate the paper. And now that that first cut has been initiated, I can not only see at the top where that line is, I can also see at the bottom. I can get it much more accurate cut here. Then I'll rotate and line up the lines top and bottom again. Rotate. This time I can look over at my 12-inch on the left, and that aligns on the right perfectly. And then rotate one more time to finish off that initial cut by taking off a hair, just a hair of the paper. And that's one of the things I love about my trimmer. It cooperates with me. All right, let's position this Cutapart now so that the words that say thinking about you, caring about you, wishing you strength and peace, that's gonna be in the upper left corner. And I will place this in my trimmer at 8 inches. And then 4. Nice. This is such a nice, easy one to trim. Then I'll rotate, and I'm going to cut this at 9, 6, and 3. And gather up the 4 pieces that are the same for pocket C, Charlie. This one, I want to make sure that the row of numbers is on the right side, and I'll cut at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. I can gather these up, 1, 2, 3, 4, the same size for pocket A. This one, I'll be honest, I didn't use it, so I'm just going to set that in pocket D in case I decide to use it. Lastly, I'll pick this one up, and our first cut here, make sure the iris is on the right, and we'll start at 10, 7 1/2, 5, and 2 1/2. And all of these go in pocket A, except for the iris, put it in D. If we want to decide, we can use it later. One more cut apart to trim, and we got to look for that guide mark again. I'm going to go make sure I'm on the light side here and cut generous, and then rotate and go this way here. And I'll go this way, and I'm going to look at the bottom. And then I'll rotate this way. I can look over at my 12. And I can go this way and look at my 12 again. And get that last little hair off the end. And we can trim this now. We'll begin with the dark side on our right. And again, make sure this is 12 inches. It should be a nice 12 inches, and your marks are gone. I had a hard time seeing my marks on this side, but I could see them easily on this, so that's how I aligned it. Okay, our first cut is at 9 1/4, and then 8. Next, we'll go down to 7 1/4, 6, 4 1/2, and 3. Okay, rotate the 3-inch piece. I got the number 5 over here, but it doesn't really matter. We're just going to cut this all into 1 1/2-inch pieces. So our first cut is at 10 1/2. Is this ringing a bell? We've done this before. 9, 7 1/2, 6, 4 1/2, 3, 1 1/2. Again, I know this is a lot of trimming, but the end result is just so cool. I think you're gonna appreciate what you'll be able to achieve. So all of these pieces go in pocket B for bravo. Bravo! This next 2 we can trim at the same time. So I'm just gonna put these back to back again, and it's a simple cut at 9, 6, and 3. So I'll go 9 first. 6. I wish I could show you my roadmaps when I was designing this. And 3. It was kind of a mess. I had to do several iterations to get it right and make sure I had enough paper to make my dream a reality, but I did it. So there we go. Put them all facing the right direction, add them to their friends in pocket B, which is really, really full of little pieces. Okay, here we go. This next one, it should read you're 1 in a million. 1 in a million should be on your right, and the number here is going to be 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2 3/4. These 2 pieces, they go in pocket B, believe it or not. And then the 4 ones that are the same, they're all gonna go in pocket C. This is a transitionary strip that is a scrap, or you can use it if you want, and pop it in D. Now we're gonna take this narrow strip and make a bunch of squares out of it like we did before, okay? So the first cut is at 11 1/4, And right now you can go ahead and take the little scrap away because we don't use that. Now we're gonna make squares. So the next cut is 10, 8 3/4, 7 1/2, 6 1/4, 5, 3 3/4, 2 1/2, 1 1/4. Bear with me, please. You are so close. We're almost done. All the squares go in pocket B for the coolest cards ever that have a lot of little pieces. One more time, okay? You're like, Tricia, I don't know about this. Let's start again at 11 1/4. And this piece that fell, you just set it aside so it's not in our way later. And I'm going to give you those same numbers again. So 10, 8 3/4, 7 1/2, 6 1/4, 5, 3 3/4, 2 1/2, and 1 1/4. Great job. All right, pocket B. Now imagine trying to make this card with no plan. It would just be total chaos. But we have a plan and we're gonna make cool things happen. We are finished with our trimming. I'm gonna swap this out for a score pal. I always like to mention that I'm using a score pal with a metal tip stylus tool, and I sell a 3-pack of this tool. I really only use one of them, but it just comes in a 3-pack, so that's what we're stuck with. I feel more comfortable holding it in my hand over this plastic thing they put in there. That works in a pinch, but I do prefer this. Now I'm going to start out with the things at the top of my stack here, which in this case is this beautiful pearl white, and place it horizontally into the score pal so that it reads at 10 and 7 this way. We'll score it in half at 5 inches, and I like to hold my tool like a pencil while I bring it toward me. You're going to need some firm pressure here. It's a very heavy stock. Now I'm going to grab that 7x10 silver and score at 5. You can make 2 passes as well if you didn't get a very good score on your first try. This is a lighter, not as heavy, but you know, yeah, you can do 2 passes if you want. And then the last one is black. Give that a nice score line, and you can load all of this in pocket C. All right, I'll put it behind all this stuff here. Okay, next up, we need to score these 5x8.5 pieces. We're gonna place, if like it is applicable with the pearl white, I want it right side up for this first score line at 2 1/8. So the 2 1/8 is such a commonly used score measurement for a gatefold card. There's a little dot at the 2 1/8, which is halfway between the 2 and the 2 1/4, 2 1/8. Now I want you to flip the card from the bottom to the top and score at 4 1/4. Okay. The next piece is silver, and it doesn't really matter because it's the same on both sides. So I'll score at 2 1/8 and flip bottom to top, 4 1/4. Here, I want to start with the right side facing up again, 2 1/8, flip, 4 1/4. Okay, one more silver, 2 1/8, flip bottom to top, 4 1/4. There's an asterisk at the 4 1/4 because again, that's used so frequently. So I'm going to load all 4 of these into pocket A. Got a little bit of work to do here on these shorter ones. You got 2 sets of pieces remaining. You've got kind of larger ones and kind of shorter ones, okay? Narrower ones. When you score this piece, the shorter one, the smaller piece, I want you to place it in the score pal so it's vertical. You should see 3 3/4 here, and you're going to see the measurement 4 1/2 down here. So it's in here like portrait or the tall way. And I want you to score at 3. Okay, same with the black, vertically at 3. The next gray, and then the paper is right side up in this case, 3, and the black at 3. All right, all of this goes in pocket A, and our final piece does not get flipped in any way, but we have quite a few score lines here, so bear with me. We will start out at 1 1/2, 3, 4.5, and 6. Set that aside, grab the sheet of black. 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6. Got another charcoal gray here. 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6. Last piece. 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6. Awesome. Pocket B, as in bravo. You're done. Well, with this part anyway. Let's get rid of that score, pal. All right, set A cards. We begin by emptying, now that we have it fully loaded, everything from pocket A. And what I like to do is just organize all of the pieces. Okay. And if you want, you can even do it by size. Sometimes that's helpful, so you can just find everything. And we have all these various sentiments and panels. Also, you have been given a pile of envelopes, and I'm going to find the envelopes that are the smallest in size. And what we'll do as a plan is make one card together, and then the other 3 you'll make on your own. So have the envelopes ready, and then we'll sort all the pieces onto one of these 4 piles. Let's take a sheet of that pearl white, and then one of the silver. And then we'll do silver and pearl white. I'm just putting these in order that are on display in the instructions so that it makes sense to you. Now you have these largest printed panels. Put one on each card base. Then I'm going to take one of these narrow strips onto each card. Now I have a panel with a score line on it. Let's put charcoal and then black, charcoal and black. Then I have another panel that doesn't have a score line on it, so we'll go the opposite colors: black, charcoal, black, charcoal. With our sentiments, we'll look at the smaller sentiment first. We'll go have a great day, happy birthday, congratulations on your anniversary, and happy birthday. Then we'll place our final sentiment. I can't remember how old you are, but I'm guessing you're okay with that. May today be filled with all the little things that bring you joy. And then your love is one of a kind here. And then may today be filled with all the things that bring you joy. Okay, that is what you need for every card. So I'm going to take the pieces and slide. This is card number 4, okay? I slid it into an envelope that's open, and I'll take card 3 and slide that in. And this way you have your sample that's complete, plus you have 3 more just like it, so that you just need to follow along. So you can make these all immediately, or you can get that sample of each one done, and then the rest just go together the same way. I don't really care how you finish the race, as long as you finish it. Okay, for starters, the basic reminder here in folding a card base is that the bump of a score line goes on the inside of a fold. So here is a bump. Therefore, when I fold this pearl white, when I fold it, it's going to show me the wrong side, won't it? Oh well, that's what we want. And then I'm just line up those corners and I'll burnish the fold. This is such a heavy paper. Now here's another bump of the second score line we made. So I'm going to fold back on it to bury it inside the fold. And look, now the right side of the card is facing up, and it's so lovely. All right, easy peasy here. We've got these 2 printed sections. So I'll take this larger one and I'll place adhesive on it. And then I'm going to take the smaller one too and place adhesive. And just I want to let you know I'm using my ATG gun. This is great for applying adhesive. There is a little bit of a learning curve for using the gun, installing the tape. But once you master that, it is just such a wonderful and efficient tool to use. Nest this on the inside of the card and then this on the outside of that card flap. And because I did all the math for you, it should fit perfectly. Okay, we have a little thing that I did with this, completely optional. Anytime I have you work with a craft knife, it's never a required task, but it is kind of nice. I'm using my mini grid ruler, and I'm going to place the grid ruler along the edge, the right edge of this frame of where the text is typed here, and just cut along the edge of the frame from top to bottom of the frame. Then I'm going to move it over here and make another slit there. Okay, and what that does is creates a spot for me to slide some ribbon. So your kit contains some really beautiful ribbon, and I'm just going to cut a length, but when I do so, I'm going to fold the ribbon in half and cut toward the middle of the ribbon. It gives me a nice little end. And then I just want to make sure the ribbon is curling downward. And I'm going to thread this uncut end, the one that doesn't have the pretty cut, through the slot. Bringing out this side. And now I'm going to fold the ribbon in half here and make my cute little swallow's tail cut. And now I've got this cute ribbon added to the card. It's decorative and it doesn't create any bulk, anything that would interfere with postal service and things like that. I love that. Now this is going to go onto the panel that should fit. It should nest it perfectly. So I'll add some adhesive to this, and I might even put some around that ribbon so it doesn't move, and center it onto the black panel. Now this can be a little bit tricky, okay? First of all, let's bury the bump. And I'll give that a little crease. Okay, this is going to be like a floating panel card. I'm going to show you in my finished sample. Here, do you see how this kind of floats up? Because it's mounted to the inside of this. Now take a look. Do you see how the edge of the tab is touching the edge of this fold? And then it goes out that way. So when we add our decorative sentiment here, it's going to go where the tab is on the left. Okay, so I can center that. I'll go ahead and do that now. Stay with me, my friend. Stay with me. Okay. Now, when I adhere this, I want to make sure that it's, centered top to bottom, and the edge of this is kind of on the other side of the score line, so it doesn't interfere with the functionality of the card. Okay, that's all. We just want to make sure we don't glue this to the wrong side. And why do I know this? Well, I will tell you. I did attach this several times to the wrong spot on the card. Okay, so now I have that installed, and then when I close it, okay, that's my floating panel on the inside. Isn't that cute? This is going to go where it frames. Do you see the let me bring this in. There's a little reveal. So this panel leads the way for this panel, okay? Now, when I add this, I don't want to put adhesive on the whole thing, right? I only want to put it from this seam to the left. So basically what I like to do then is just flip it over that way. Do you see how I did that? This way. Line it up. And now I know that my adhesive should stop here. So I'll just come on in, add some there, flip it back over, and line it up again so I have that nice frame on the three sides. And I'm done. How sweet is this? Looks really cute on display, very dimensional, but yet it lays flat for mailing. Do you like that? Isn't that fun? Okay, so that is the first set. And again, you have all of your cards lined up and ready to go in your envelopes for 2, 3, and 4. Now on the third card, the anniversary card, it didn't have that little box that Jacqueline designed. So instead of, doing that slot thing, I just took 2 pieces of this gray ribbon. So I'll just show you, because I promised I would when I was talking about the preview. So I'm going to cut it. It's a little wider than the panel. And I'm going to cut a second piece about the same length. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces of ribbon. All you do is kind of crisscross them like so. And then give them a tug. And then you just wrap that around the panel and bring the ends around to the back. Okay? Easy peasy. I'm gonna just go ahead and place this. I think this is the anniversary one. Yes. I'm going to put those ribbons right in there so they're ready to go when it's time to make that cute little card. Okay, that was this one, and this is one we made together, and the others are exactly the same assembly. Just remember, when you attach this tab, make sure the edge of the tab is right next to the fold so that this kind of lays like it's double-decker style. All right, my friends, let's see. I'm going to set all of this aside now. My final envelope here for my beautiful card. I'm going to set this aside, and let's get to that set B card that you are absolutely going to, I hope you love it. I hope it's worth it, because we did a lot of trimming for this one. I'll take my file folder, and we've got some sorting to do, okay? I mean, really, this is nuts. If you're making just one of these, it probably would be a little easier. But you know what? If we're gonna make one, why not make 4? Plus, I did all the math so that this would work. I really did. Lots and lots of calculations and drawings and things. So to sort things out, I mean, obviously that's nice and easy. And then we have these pieces from the Cutaparts. Those are all pretty easy, right? Got that one. Make some nice little stacks. This one's a little smaller. Okay, so these are my 1.5 by 3s. Then you have all kinds of these plain colored 1.5 by 3s. So I'm gonna find all of those. It's not so bad really when you sort it out. It got a little messy in the thing. Oh, here's one more of those. Okay. Let's sort these by color. So I'm just gonna deal them out. It's like organizing, it's like playing 52 card pickup with your brother. He always say, Trisha, do you want to play a game with me? Yeah, I do. I loved playing games with my sibling who was older, a lot older. And he'd go, all right, well, let's play this really special game. It's called 52 card pickup. Okay. And then he would take all of the entire deck of cards and fling it into the air all over the floor and say, all right, pick them up. Have fun. Isn't that mean? Kind of mean. All right, so I've got these charcoal. I've got black, this pearl white, and the silver. Nice stacks of those. Then we have all these other, tons of these other printed ones. Let's see if we can sort those out. And there's a couple of squares that got mixed in there. All right, that's pretty good. Normally I don't film the process, but I just kind of want you to go there with me and see that I know it looks kind of crazy, and maybe it is. Oh, but it's so worth it. This one is also the same size as those smaller. Oh, I found a little square in there. Okay, so this is my pile of smaller nestables. And then I have all my little squares. So sometimes when you do a card like the standard way, where someone says, all right, you need 12 pieces this size, and you need 18 pieces of this size, and you need 1 piece of this size. I've got that all calculated out for you. Here we have our squares. Ta-da. We just need to distribute everything. So gray, gray, black, and black. All right, so now we have all of these little 1.5 by 3s, and I'm just gonna deal them out. So I'm going silver, silver, silver. It doesn't matter, the whole stack. If you just keep going, it'll distribute somewhat unevenly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You probably have 2 extra. Doesn't matter. Then you have these 1.5 by 3s. Some of them have a little box. I'm just going to find the 4 of them that have the little box on them. That's kind of going to be your official sign your name on the card. So we want to make sure that each card gets one of these. Okay. The rest don't really matter. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we have these other random smaller ones. I think I'm going to make a separate pile for these and just distribute them all. And it doesn't even matter where that one goes. Just keep going and dealing them out. Isn't this fun? 52 card pickup. Probably are 52 pieces in these 4 cards. Oh, but it's so fun, I promise. Okay. Now we have these cute little ones. Since I put a special one there, I'm going to put this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. all the little squares. They were kind of bonuses, and there probably won't be enough, the same number of squares per card. And not a big deal, okay? Deep breath. I'm going to take all of these pieces now and slide them into the A6 envelope. Now, this is actually not exactly the size. I think the length of the card itself is only 6 inches, and that's just because of all the mathematical requirements. The official A6 card size is 4.5 by 6 1/4, and we just did 4.5 by 6 to make life as easy as possible for this unique card structure. Okay. Here we go. You're gonna just love this. So easy. All right. Let's separate those pretty colors in one pile, and then we have our other colors over here, our silver, black, gray, and so on. Remember the rule about burying the bump of the score line. So here's my bump. I'm gonna fold. And our goal here is to make a cube. So I'm just going to fold on each one of these. And when you reach the last one, it's going to give you a little tab. Okay. So if I have this and I put adhesive on this little tab and bring it over here, that's going to work. I like to use my bookbinding glue for this step because of the width of the tab, but you can use any adhesive. I'll just squiggle some bookbinding glue on there and then lay it down flat and bring this one end to the other end so that it's flat when you adhere the tab. Okay, so then do you see how it made a cube? Lipstick container. Something larger than lipstick. Okay, next. I'm going to add all these little flags. I'm going to add these flags too. So in your instructions, there is a little diagram that I added for you. And it says flattened column. That's what this is here, the flattened column. And I'm going to take one of these flags, I'm just going to do the gray, and I'm going to put adhesive just so that it sticks right here, but only on this side of the column. In other words, I want it to just be adhered to this side, like a flag sticking out. But because my next piece I'm going to attach, and I am going to pick a different color, I'm going to go with black. I want this one to stick out as well from the bottom edge, like this, okay? One on the bottom, one on the top. Now a third one is going to be attached to the middle, but this one is going to fly out to the right of that seam on my flattened column. I hope that makes sense. But because we can attach all 3 of these, I only need to put adhesive on here once. Now I can just go like this, all right? So the adhesive is going on the right side of my flattened cube. I'll take this gray and I'm going to add it so it aligns with this edge here. Nice and neat. Then I'll put the black one, just because it's a different color, I'll put that across the bottom. And that leaves one spot for this to fly out on the right side. There's my seam. Okay, there. Step 1. Color, color, print. Now I'm going to open the column and rotate it this direction. So I'm moving to the left here. And I can once again put adhesive on this column. And I'm going to grab another color and put it along the top so it's aligned with the entire column here, the flattened column. And then I'll grab silver. All right, now this one has to wing out to the right. Okay, now I'm going to move my way left, and I get to do it again. I'll go black. I'm aligning it at the top. And pearl. aligning at the bottom. Notice that's all aligned with the base, and then I have this winging out to the right. I'm gonna go left again, but this time it might be a little bit harder to figure out. So this time, I see how this is in the way. So I'm just gonna put adhesive at the top and bottom. Okay, I'm gonna go silver here. And I'll go gray here. Now I need to go back one so I can see this final square. And it needs to go kind of to the right, like this is the left edge of the square, or rectangle rather. And now there's a flag attached to every side of the center column. Isn't that cool? Okay, next is decor. So we have 2 extra pieces that we didn't use. That's okay. And we can just line up these mats. So we have 8 of them. So maybe you want to start out by putting a mat on each one of the darker places, you know, like where this one is black. And here we have one that's black and gray. And just kind of keep opening the card to different directions, right? How fun is this? And see how everything fits? So you get this second layer of decor on these flaps. Let me get this one. And this one. That's cool. Now we have the back side of that silver paper is white. So let's just start there. We've got a couple of squares here. We have 4. Okay. So I'm going to start out by adding these to anything that's really plain. So that's pretty plain. That's pretty plain. Where's the other? Here, this is plain. Any other that I would really prefer to have some, just kind of assess. I think I'll do it here. Do you see how there's just, it's kind of designer's choice. Everything kind of has a place, but there will be some blank ones too. Maybe a place for you to write another little note. This is again intended for you to sign your name. Now you're asking me, Tricia, where are all the sentiments, right? Well, this is fun. We have this whole sheet of sentiments for you to choose from. And what's neat about this is you can either trim this out with a craft knife and cutting mat. You could certainly do that. Maybe I'll grab that. You could use your trimmer. You could use scissors. That works too. Totally up to you. So I'm going to go happy birthday. And just slice that out. It's going to be a birthday card. And I'm also going to go fabulous forever. I'm going to slice that out. And I'm also going to use queen for a day because that's fun and that fits. I'm cutting real close. How about I love you to infinity and beyond? Why not? Because I have, well, maybe I'll just use 3. We'll see. Okay, so queen for a day, that's fun. So I just trimmed it out and now I'm going to take the end off. And then fabulous forever. I'll take the end off of this. And happy birthday. Now I have these little sentiments, right? 1, 2, 3. And here's my card. So I'm going to take my bookbinding glue and just add a little bit to the back of this sentiment. Oops. And I'm going to plop that right here. Happy birthday. And I'll take this one. And I'll put it here, fabulous forever. So at least every side will have a sentiment or a signature. And what's cool about this is you can just pick whatever you want. Now, what I did the first time I made my cards was I separated all of these and I sorted them into piles of things that I wanted to put together. So I had one for friendship and so on. I added all of the sentiments that I chose for each card right beneath. It's pretty small print, but right beneath each, this is 1 card, 2 cards, 3 cards, the 4th card. And on the bottom, it says which ones I used. Totally up to you though, right? I mean, isn't that fun? I could add another one here for sure. No one is you, and that's your superpower. Nope, this we're gonna use I love you to infinity and beyond. Okay, so you can cut off the ends just with scissors and add a little glue. And I love you to infinity and beyond. Beautiful. Isn't that fun? What's so neat about this card, and again, you can sign it then here. So I had Jacqueline design a special piece just for your signature. Now it's completely flat. Recipient gets it, but it kind of pops open and then clearly it's ready for display. Flat display. They won't throw this one away. They'll know how much you worked on it and they'll love it, okay? I hope you loved it and how easily and quickly it came together. And just that serendipitous distribution of all the pieces makes it really fun and flexible. So I'll show you my 4 samples. Oh, I also added some, you know, you are one of a kind here. I trimmed them out into shorter pieces. You make a difference. Thankful for you. A hug for you. No one is you, and that's your superpower. And it's all about you on that one. Here we have Too Good to Be Forgotten. I love you to infinity and beyond. Happy birthday. Friendship isn't a big thing. It's a million little things. Too good to be forgotten. Okay. Cheers to you. One of the greatest gifts of the journey is the people you meet along the way. I'm your #1 fan. Cheers to you. Okay, that's super fun. And then happy birthday to you. You're 1 in a million. Have a wonderful birthday. Very simple, but yet not. But yet it is. Okay, now you know. Now you know the secret to this stunning flappy tower card. Let's move on to our final set, and I promise you it's very simple. Here we go, card set C. Emptying the C pocket. You're gonna love me after this one, I promise. If you don't love me right now, I'm sorry. You can just skip doing that card set if you want. Again, I work with people here at Club Scrap who just don't like the more challenging cards. They want to fold something in half, slap a sentiment on there, and be on their merry way. And that card probably won't be for them, and that's okay. But I also have members who love the little challenges and love the unique card structures that I spend hours designing. So, you know, I can't be all things to all people at all times, but perhaps I can always offer you something some of the time. Okay, I'm burying the bumps for these card bases. Oh, this paper is just so stunning. I love it. Really special paper. This was going to be text weight paper, and once I made my card samples, I'm like, Craig, we need to order cover weight. It was crazy expensive, but it needed to be so. So you have cover weight silver for your kit. All right, I'm going to start out with the black card base, then silver. This is for the deal. Then this pearl white, charcoal gray. Next up, we have these larger panels. We're going to go silver, charcoal, black, and pearl. You should have another set of the plain panels, charcoal, pearl, silver, black. Now we're getting all those colors incorporated, right? Here we have a print for every panel to nest. In your kit, you were given a series of 4 silver tags. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the sentiments are designed to fit on the tag. So happy anniversary. I had to have an anniversary card, right? with heartfelt sympathy, you're 1 in a million, 7 billion smiles. For the inner sentiments, we're going to go with the best thing to hold on to in life is each other for the anniversary card. Thinking about you, caring about you, etc. on the sympathy. You're 1 in a million, so happy to celebrate you today. Finally, 7 billion smiles, and yours is my favorite. Love that too. Okay, so here we have all of our components. I will take my 5x7 envelope, and if you want, from your kit, there's a little silver embossed or embroidered leaf. We're going to use one of those in each card as well. I should just distribute those so that they're right where they need to be. There we go. And here I'll put this one in the envelope. The envelope system works so well. It keeps everything, all the pieces where they belong and ready to go for easy final assembly. Oh, you're going to love how simple this is. I will take my printed panel and center it onto the next largest panel, and we're going to nest the next one as well. I'm going to check that measurement here. Okay, so this is 3/4 of an inch from the edge, and then centered again left to right 3/4 of an inch. So that's going to center this. I'm using my grid ruler to help me do that. It just ensures that the panel is placed level and centered. 3/4 of an inch. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Nice. Now before you add this to the folded card base, just take a second and wait. I will nest the happy anniversary onto the silver tag with the loop of the tag hanging hole on the left. You might want to take a point of a scissors to get that center out. And you can use whatever ribbon you want. In this case, I'll use the gray, the soft gray here. I'll make a nice pointy point so I can get it through the hole in the tag. It's going to fray the ribbon a little bit. That's totally okay. So we're going to add this kind of here and make sure we have enough ribbon for it to spread out, to be on full display, and wrap around to the back of the card. Next, I'll take some of my foam adhesive circles, and if you want, you can cut them in half, preserving the tearing loop there. And I'm going to attach this with foam adhesive. It's not included in your kit, but we do carry them, or a lot of you have your own preferred. I like these because they have the pull tabs. It's easy to get them off. And I have a dangler. I'm just going to snip that away and add this right here. Next, grab my tape. I have a couple pieces. Get this ready to go. So we've got this angled loopy thing going. I really want to see the ribbon. That to me is like center stage, but yet doesn't add bulk to the card in any way. Before I add my leaf, I'm going to center this onto the folded card base. Leaf will be the last thing we add. Now for the inside of the card, we did preserve these little strips. So to brighten things up, I am going to add some silver. And this should be the same width as the card base because it kind of was a scrap from the end of that section there. So to make sure it's level, I'll use my ruler. I'm going 1 inch from the bottom edge here. Add that. You can take more stuff out of the D pocket, but I felt like we just had a really nice look. You can use more sentiments too. In fact, I did that. I took leftover sentiments from my strip that was in your kit and added something that pertained to some of these. In this case, I put 2 hearts, 1 love inside the card, which was perfect because it's an anniversary card. Now for the cute little leaf, there's a right side and a wrong side. So I find the right side kind of has more silvery on top. So just be aware of that. And when I add my bookbinding glue to this, I'm just going to go through the center vein and the perimeter. And then, because this is attached with foam adhesive, I'll tuck the bottom of the stem just under. And this is why this was the last thing I did. If you leave that undisturbed, it will dry beautifully and your card is done. Now take a look at the other variations here. I used a double thickness of that gorgeous silver cord. Again, the leaf. So happy to celebrate you today, a little older, but a lot more fabulous. 7 billion smiles, and yours is my favorite. I hope you do something, I hope something makes you smile today. Cute. And then again, a double, because I had a lot of it. And then here's the happy anniversary that we did together, and then with heartfelt sympathy. What a gorgeous sympathy card. And here you can see how I use the transitional piece along with a narrow black strip on the inside. So many wonderful options left for you in the D pocket. Just feel free to follow your creative muse and do whatever you like. We have reached the end of this amazing workshop celebrating our 25th year of Club Scrap. I hope you liked the challenge card and that you feel proud of yourself for everything you've achieved. Thank you again for your loyalty through all of these decades. It's been amazing. And if you have a second, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, give me a like or a thumbs up and maybe let me know what you learned during the workshop. I'd love to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you in another workshop soon.